What is going on, guys? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Today, I'm asking the question: is CGC a monopoly? And I think that everyone that's into comics and loves comics and is into this hobby needs to have a clear understanding of what this means and of what monopoly means specifically, and how that relates to obviously CGC and the slabbing companies and the grading companies, but just in general. So first, I want to provide some context to answer this question. Um, I challenge everyone to research what a monopoly is. A monopoly is not what I think a lot of people think it to be. Okay, and I'll simply explain it like this: a monopoly is an entity, or in this case, a company, corporation, an entity within an industry that not only has a stronghold on the industry, but basically controls the supply chain of either the service or the product. Okay, so let me repeat that. A monopoly is an entity that controls the service or the product or the supply chain of that service and product. So whether that be raw goods and so forth. But let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. Let's focus on the matter at hand, and that's CGC and the grading companies. So the simple answer to this question, guys, is no. CGC is not and is in no way a monopoly. CGC does not and has not, or in no way, a monopoly on the grading market. And let me explain why with one simple word. And that word is choice. Okay? When you have choice, that is called a free market. All right? We can choose to get our books graded. And once we do so, we can choose to use or not use CGC. Let me give you another example of what's not a monopoly that I think a lot of people think are monopolies. Walmart. Walmart is not a monopoly whatsoever. Now, Walmart is one of the most successful corporations in history. They are one of the most profitable corporations, but they are not a monopoly. And here's why. You got to look at their product. What do they sell? Grocery, home goods, garden goods, in a nutshell, right? If I said I need to go buy some groceries for my house, I have multiple options that I can go to in a 5 mile radius. I have about 5 options for groceries in a 5 mile radius. If I want home goods, I have, I believe, 3 options in a 5 mile radius. Target, home goods, actually. Cost plus. You have local mom and pop shops. Um, Bed Bath and Body Works. I mean, whether it's bathroom care or towels or decor, electronics, right? I can go to Target. I can go to, I mean, Radio Shacks do still exist, although there's not many of them, I don't think. But there's other places, Best Buy, right, to get electronics from. That's one thing I didn't say originally. Garden, there's Ace, there's Home Depot, Target as well. Orchard Supply Hardware. There's so many different options out there, and this isn't even talking about the local nurseries or your local stores that carry these things in your downtowns and in your small towns to your big cities. Walmart is not a monopoly because I can choose to get everything that Walmart supplies somewhere else. I don't have to go there. Starbucks is not a monopoly. There's multiple different coffee shops on different corners in a 5 mile radius. Choice. It comes down to choice. Okay, guys? And I want people to understand that because when we are disappointed with things as comic collectors, I want us to be educated on why it is we're disappointed. And I don't want us to have a fallacy of an understanding. It goes back to what I've been talking about a lot recently. Oh, this is ruining the hobby and that's ruining the hobby. No, we're throwing these negative connotations out there to different things in the hobby that are actually healthy for the hobby. And when we look at the grading services, I have a lot of issues with CGC. I always say that, but we cannot paint them falsely for something that they're not. They are not a monopoly. And I'm going to give you 6 other options right now that you could choose to go with for slabbing and grading your books other than the CGC. And then I'm going to tell you why people still choose CGC for the most part. So let's go. Let's look at this. The next best thing that most of us would say, and that no, CBCS, right? CBCS just came out with new beautiful cases. I like what they're doing a lot here. The labels look better, although I still think they could have did a little more on the labels. More durable, more crystal clear on their cases. CBCS is a great option. Most of us would agree that they are probably the second best option, right? All right. Then we have another one, PGX. Most of us know about PGX. PGX hasn't been very desirable. They actually just changed their labels recently too, and I am extremely impressed. I hated their old labels. I hated them. But these new labels that you can see on screen, much better, much better, right? We also have more than just those 3 though, guys. We have expert grading service, and they're an up and coming. They're pretty new. But look at these labels, guys. These are beautiful. Beautiful cases and labels. I really like what they're doing here. They have the different color coding ones. It's very fresh for a smaller grading company. I think aesthetically these slabs look really good. And they're cheaper than CGC too. That's not all, guys. We have Midwest Comic Grading. Now, they don't really offer that high quality hard casing. Theirs is more of a thick mylar, with a label on top. So, but hey, when you talk about affordability or what it is that you're looking for, there's still an option there for grading your books, right? We also have Halo. Okay, and they're of service in the U.S. and in Australia, and then we have EGS, which is out in Europe, and they're getting pretty big out there. They're getting pretty big out there. So, guys, you have multiple options here outside of CGC. Okay, that means that when I want to slab a book, I am not forced to just go with CGC. Let me give you guys what monopolies are. Okay, I've given you an answer saying the CGC is not a monopoly, and I've given you examples of what aren't monopolies with Walmart and Starbucks. Let me give you guys an example of what a monopoly is. Usually, your utility companies are monopolies. Okay, I live in California. I have PG&E for my gas and electric. That's a monopoly. Why? Because I have no other choice on who to go for my energy, unless I wanted to go solar. That's an option, but still, um, PG&E has a monopoly. I don't have a choice. I can't choose. My water, okay, is supplied by Cal Water Services. That's a monopoly. Why? Because I don't have a choice. When I lived in Richmond, in the Bay Area, California, uh, East Bay Mud, I had no choice. They were the water supplier in that area. It's a monopoly. Okay, so you guys hopefully could see the difference now between what are monopolies and what are not, and what it means to be a monopoly. Now, there's monopolistic competition. Okay, you can argue that even with choice, you have monopolistic competition between you know companies that may have such a stranglehold on the market. Maybe the market shares that they have are the majority of the market. And, you usually have like two big ones. So you could say Target and Walmart are in monopolistic competition because they control the dominance of the market. But that's just because they have the power because of the overhead, because of their profit margins and their overhead, in how they have expanded over the years in that stranglehold that they have in the market. But still, monopolistic competition is a completely different thing. And just because it has that word monopolistic in it doesn't mean it's the same thing as monopoly at all. At all, it still exists in the free market. Okay, you can look at uh, um, monopolistic competition too is the tobacco, to the tobacco industry. And actually, the tobacco industry can be seen more as a monopoly, but more of even an oligarchy where you have two or maybe even three controlling the resources. Because when you talk about um, tobacco crops, it's you don't really have a choice. And when you look at all the brands that are on the shelf, Cool, Marlboro, they're all controlled by, like, the top two, like J.P. Morgan, or excuse me, whatever the tobacco, Phillips, sorry, not J.P. Morgan, Phillips brand, right? And you could say the same thing with Monsanto, with crops in our food. They almost have a monopoly because when we go to the grocery store, you have the small farmers, but they are controlled by Monsanto. So those, I give you guys plenty of examples here, but again, we're talking about comic books, and I want you guys to do your research if you want to learn more about that. But the reason that CGC is the go-to and why they have what seems to be a stranglehold on the market is simply because of choice, guys. They have utilized their business model to better themselves and to uh, demand market share and demand a larger market share over the years simply because of buyers' choice and consumers' choice, what we want to do with our purchasing power. They didn't become the number one grading company because of any other reason than the fact that comic book collectors decided I would rather go with CGC than anyone else. And it shows. You take into considerations the services that they provide, the products they provide. So they're providing two things. Grading companies provide two things. They provide a product and a service. The service is getting the books graded, right? The product is the end result of that book in a slab with a label, okay? So when you talk about service and product, the reason even why they get a higher dollar pull on the secondary market is because we as collectors demand CGC graded books more than the other competitors. It has nothing to do with anything that has to do about a monopoly at all. We like the aesthetics of it. We like the way the books look more than the other companies. Okay, maybe we like that they have a better, signature series, or we are confident in the fact that we can pay a premium amount and get our books back in 6 to 9 days or something like that. But then, when it's worth the value, it's worth the money. But then you think about value and you say, well, I would rather go with PGX because I don't mind the aesthetics as much. I don't mind that the cases aren't as shiny and aren't as good as and aren't visually appealing as CGC. I just like that I can pay less. And that's the same thing with Walmart. Walmart isn't there to have the best product on the market. That would be like a Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's is about quality, right? Walmart is about value. So you can look at PGX as the value market of graded comics. You can look at CBCS as kind of the in between. They're kind of like the Target, right? You're willing to pay a little more for that Target brand name clothing than you are for Walmart, but you're still getting value. You're not paying as much as Nordstrom's. Because Nordstrom's, you know that you're getting, it's not about value. It's about, I have the money to go pay top dollar for high quality clothing, and name brand stuff. Target's the middle ground. Walmart is the bottom because you know that you're gonna come out spending the least money, but you know what you're gonna get is crap. You know the clothes that you buy are gonna be worn once or twice and they're throwaway. And that's okay because that's why you shop at Walmart. You could say the same thing for the services and the products that these grading companies are providing. Right now, when it comes to the service and the product, CGC is the Nordstroms, CBCS is the Target, PGX is the Walmart, and these other brands you could see is possibly your mom and pops that are just trying to start up, and make a name for themselves. So there's healthy competition, right? CGC does not have a monopoly on the market whatsoever. Now, there's always flaws, right, that can change this. We can demand other competitors other than CGC if CGC's business model doesn't uphold to the standard that consumers want it to be, right? We see this with Diamond in the distribution industry right now. See, Diamond pretty much was a monopoly because they controlled the market. There was no other options. But as soon as other options came into play, your big publishers like DC said, "Oh, I'm gonna go somewhere else." With Lunar, making it now monopolistic, but now there's competition. Now there's choice, right? And I think they did that because when a company that ends up getting kind of a monopoly on a market or a monopolistic stranglehold on the market, they could get cocky. They can lose sight of their values in the product and the services that they produce, and they can drop the ball. And that opens the door for healthy competition to come in and say, "Oh, let me get a percentage of that market share. Let me hop up in there and get a piece of that pie." But right now, CGC isn't even at that level. The pie is still split, guys. It really is. And although it may seem monopolistic to you guys because they're so popular, they're so demanding, and they demand that higher resale amount on the secondary market. But still, it's not a monopoly, guys. It's not. And we have to understand this, and I'm going to end on this note. We give companies the power that they have. Starbucks is the most profitable coffee shop ever because we as consumers demand Starbucks coffee because we demand the product and the service that they deliver. Until they stop giving us that product and service, we'll start going to Seattle's Best or Pete's Coffee or the ground bean tea leaf, whatever, right? Tollies, there's so many other out there, or your mom and pop spots, right? Same with CGC. If we don't like what CGC is doing, we don't have to go to them. If we think that there's some shady business dealings on the back end of CGC, which could be valid, we don't have to go to them. We give them the power by our purchasing dollars. If we pulled out of CGC and started giving our money to expert grading company or some of these smaller grading companies, they would gain market share. And CGC's market share would drop. And then they would have to reevaluate their business strategy. It's that simple, guys. So I'm going to end the video on that note. I hope you guys took in something here and learned a little something. Let me know what you guys think. I just, you cannot be fans of CGC, but call it what it is, okay? CGC is not a monopoly. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you have not subscribed yet, please do so. I'm on the road to 2,000, and I want to have a 2,000 live stream celebration with you guys. So I'm going to throw that out there. I hope we can get there soon. To all my viewers, I appreciate each and every one of you. Be safe. Hope you guys have a good week. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.